When I first moved back to the U.S. after being in Africa for 5 years, I had a little bit of trouble adjusting. One example, I was in a job interview, and as with every job interview, they ask you, point to a time when diversity really helped you and your job function. And I was kind of caught off guard and reeling through all these stories from my previous work experience, and settled on a story that maybe wasn't the best one to come up with, but it was a story about how our translators in the ward on the ship were off in a corner talking about something that we didn't really understand what was going on, with something to do with the patients, and finally one of them came to us and said, you really need to know that the patients all believe that there's a witch doctor that levitates and floats around the ward at night and puts curses on people and puts them to death, and nobody wants to be in this specific bed because they believe that it's cursed. And so my point with the story was that we would never have known this was going on with our patients had we not had translators who were, part of that culture and were able to communicate that to us. And I looked up after telling this story to this panel of people that were interviewing me, and they all had the most horrific blank looks on their faces, and I realized maybe I shouldn't have told the witchcraft story. But yeah, so working in the U.S. is definitely different than working abroad. But I have to say I'm a little more adjusted now, and I don't whip out crazy stories anymore.